Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, October the 24th, 2014. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Miller. Mr. Brady. Mr. Germana.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Schron. Mr. Schron is absent at the moment. Ms. Conwell.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Hairston.
Here.
Ms. Simon. Mr. Greenspan. Ms. Conley.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Is there any public comment signed in related to the agenda?
Madam Chair, there is none.
All right, so we have item 4, presentations. We're going to have 2 presentations from one of our favorite presenters, Mr. Applebaum, who'll give us an update on the Global Center and also an update on the inclusion program for downtown Cleveland Convention Center. So if you'd like to come forward, and as always, I'm looking forward to new PowerPoint gimmicks that you always have, or techniques or whatever. Yeah, push a button.
There we are. So having said that, this is, in all the dozens of times I've presented for you, this is the first time I don't have my own PowerPoint presentation.
Oh,
so I knew you'd say that.
no.
But
Can we cut you? We're going to cut
no,
your
we
salary.
have a guest PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
So, but I do have something else that will be noteworthy for audience for your delight in a few minutes. So. Thank you very much. The presentation that we'll have today is divided in the following. I'll give you the agenda ahead of time. We're going to start out talking about the Cleveland Convention Center and the Global Center for Health Innovation. And there are 3 topics that we're going to talk about. Briefly, we're going to talk about 2 topics that deal with sustainability and energy efficiency and some milestones that we were able to achieve recently. And then we're going to move on to a business update. Mark Leahy of SMG is going to come forward, and we do have a PowerPoint for that, and he's going to just talk about where we stand on the Global Center and the Convention Center. And then we're going to move on to the Hilton Cleveland Downtown Hotel, and as I promised at our last presentation, we have representatives of Turner, of the Turner Design Build team here, and they're going to talk about the inclusion program. So that is the agenda for this afternoon. So I'm going to start with two items that we haven't announced previously, and we're very excited about the outcome of this. And this has to do with energy conservation, energy efficiency at the Global Center and the Convention Center, and also LEED status. And these are related, and I'll explain how. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that we got into this year. At the end of the year, as we concluded construction of and made our switch over to SMG, we went back and we took a look at some of the things that we had in place to examine some opportunities that still may be left over from the construction. And let me tell you about 2 of them. One of them, on some buildings that we've worked on, prior to the conclusion of last year of 2013, there was something in the Internal Revenue Code, which is a Chapter 179D tax deduction. And this was a program that the federal government set up for energy efficient buildings. Essentially, if you could demonstrate that certain things were done in the building, you had the capability of harvesting tax deductions. And these would be deductions if you could demonstrate certain things that you did with respect to lighting fixtures, such as eliminate the use of incandescent bulbs and go other directions. If you implemented energy efficient HVAC systems, heating, ventilating, air conditioning systems. If you demonstrated efficiency with new types of enclosure systems. And the way the project worked, obviously a county facility, a tax deduction does not mean much for the county. We can't use a tax deduction, but you can allocate the tax deduction if you can achieve it to your designer of the project. And by the definitions made available by the code, the designer includes the design builder. So what we theoretically could do, even though this program ended at the end of last year, our convention center was completed before the end of last year, so we could go back and we could see if we could harvest some tax deductions. So we worked with Turner on this program, and they engaged Ernst & Young to help us through the analysis. And what we were able to determine at the end of this analysis, that we could harvest $529,000 in available tax deductions. Now, the way this works and the deal that we are working on with Turner right now is essentially we agree with Turner that they get the tax deduction, which, by the way, is worth to them approximately $170,000, assuming they're in the 30 to 35% corporate tax bracket, which they are. So it's a value. Agreed to pay them a fee, because we're going to, of course, take the benefit of this deduction back. We paid them a fee, which is simply equivalent to their construction management fee, something like a 3% fee. I can't remember the exact number, but around a 3% fee. And we agreed that they could have that deduction. They could earn the fee, which is not a lot of money on that, and they were really gracious to do this with us. And then we would benefit from that. And the way we benefited from that is if we gave them the deduction, they agreed to a reduction of the fee we're paying them on the hotel. So the bottom line is that will result, and I don't have the exact calculation because it's still working through the tax calculation, but it will result in a benefit to the county of in excess of $100,000. So this is in excess $100,000 plus dollars, which is found money for us that we will realize as a fee reduction on the hotel. So that's very good news in terms of being able to harvest this tax deduction. Now that leads into the second part of my presentation on this, which is there's one small investment we're making with some of that $100,000 savings. At the conclusion, one of our goals on the Convention Center and Global Center project was to have a sustainable project in general. And one way that we measure that, it's not the only way, but one way we measure that is through our LEED certification. And we announced the goal of getting LEED Silver certification. In the process of documenting our LEED Silver at the conclusion of the project, and there's a lot of work you can do, we came to the realization that we were actually not that far away from getting to LEED Gold. And there are reasons for achieving LEED Gold, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So SMG, working in conjunction with the engineers that we utilized on the project, they scoured the different, the rules, and they took a look and to see if we could in fact get to a higher certification. And I'm very pleased to announce, and we have the certificate here today, that through some work that was done, we have now achieved LEED Gold status. So we are now certified LEED Gold at the Convention Center, and the Global Center, which is not something we announced as a goal. It's something that we have achieved, and we're very proud of that. There's different ways that we did that. One thing that we did was we obtained some renewable energy credits, and I won't go through the system of how we did that. And we're putting out a press release that explains everything about that building, which is sustainable and renewable. But I will tell you that the cost, the additional incremental cost to get this all done was about $9,000. So of the $100,000 or more that we are making from the energy credits or from the energy deduction, $9,000 of this is our cost to get to LEED Gold, and the rest of it is savings for ultimately for the county. So that is very good news, and you could ask, why is this important? Well, first of all, obviously, sustainability has its own inherent value, and we think that's very important. That was something we talked about with the county. Second of all, it results in operational savings, just in terms of energy conservation, et cetera. But another real value here is there are many, many meeting planners and companies who, when they take a look at competing convention centers and venues, they highly value green buildings and sustainable agendas. And the fact that we have achieved a gold certification means that we are now in this upper echelon of facilities. It wasn't comfortable if we were silver and someone else was gold. Well, we're now at gold, which is a very high level in the industry. So that's going to help us from a business point of view. So what I wanted to do, before I completed this little statement, I wanted to present one story that I find to be a neat story in the building about sustainability. And Mark, why don't you come up? Because I'm going to have you go through the details of this. But before I do, and I'll ask something I would do in your courtroom. May I approach the bench?
Of course.
Thank you.
I don't know, can we have security check this?
So this is something that if you visited the convention center, that you might get as a takeaway gift.
Oh,
And
my
as you can
goodness.
see, this is pure raw honey. So I'm now going to explain, I'm not going to explain, I have Mark Leahy explain one of our sustainability initiatives, which has to do with that jar of honey. So Mark.
We are in the beekeeping business now. So we actually started through our caterer, Levy Restaurants, to demonstrate some of the sustainability motions and movements and our commitment. And one way to show our commitment, other than a plaque, is what you do every day. So we decided to help the honeybees, which could help, in turn, help agriculture, of course, with the pollination. And we put in 2 honeybee, we're up to 3 honeybee colonies now on the very north end of the ballroom pre-function area near the railroad tracks. So if you're at that end of the building and you look out, you'll see these little huts that we this year are going to produce about 100 pounds of honey. And that's one of the first batches. So it is all organic, of course, and raw. And we haven't even developed the labels for these things yet. So little gifts along the way for meeting planners. It really gives them warm fuzzies many times when they're able to walk away with a little bit of feeling that the staff really cares. We're committed to recycling, composting, energy efficiency, these things. But really, there's nothing like a jar of honey right here in Cleveland. And we haven't quite named it yet, and we'll be doing that to give it its own personality. So we have 2 types of bees. We learn more about bees than we need to. There's an Italian, which are known for their output.
This is not setting
Yeah.
up a joke, by the way. This
No, there's 2 species. In fact, I had the other day with Terry
Italian
Eckert, we had one of the new committee members for the Republican National Convention. And I was showing him where the bees were. I made the mistake of saying they were killer bees and not honeybees, which they had the great idea. That now has become the First Amendment location for during the, that's where they'll put the protesters during the convention when they're here, out by the killer bees. But no, we have 2 species out there that are known for their non-aggressive behavior and their output and the taste and the aesthetics of what they're kicking out. So this has been very, very well received by our meeting planners.
So, so the one thing stay up here. So the one thing I should mention, and I don't think this is obviously also going to be, the honey will be served in the restaurant. So it'll be organic honey served in the restaurant. So at this point in time, what we're going to do, I'm going to have Mark now walk through sort of an update on the business plan for both the Global Center and the Convention Center. Keep in mind a couple of things here. So number one. We do have an organization which has been set up, which is our Facility Development Corporation, which Dan Brady sits on the board. So some of this information has already been presented to that board. At the end of the day, though, the county, in essence, owns this balance sheet, which is to say that at the end of the day, the financial balance sheet of this, comes down to the county. I'm going to have Mark go through exactly what's happening on the business plan, and then I'm going to do a quick statement about how it relates to our overall deal, and in particular, the transition from MMPI to SMG. So I'm going to let Mark, you go through the plan, then I'll come back up and talk about how it relates to our overall situation.
Very good. Delighted to. Thank you. And good afternoon. And congratulations on your Certificate of Gold LEED certification. It is something our planners and our clients look for. This is a leg up for us. There's not too many of these in the country. And new construction, it does show that, I believe it shows that Cleveland is heading in a direction towards sustainability, and And what it demonstrates also to our clients is that we care about their stay while they're here. The indoor air quality, the type of systems that have been put in to make their visit to the convention center very, very pleasant, and it makes them want to come back again, and that's the key thing. Here to present, as Jeff said, on the Global Center, as well as the Convention Center, with some status updates for you. Obviously happy to answer any question, and just as we go through this presentation. Here you just see the Convention Center and the rendering of the new Hilton Hotel. To remind the Commission that we do have a mission statement for the Global Center and a vision statement. This came out of the advisory board that was set up early on by our predecessors and adopted by the advisory committee to the convention, to the Global Center for Health Innovation. So we have kept with this vision. We did not rewrite it by any stretch. It was the way everyone was going, and we have continued on that way. The mission is to serve as a catalyst for fundamental improvements in health and healthcare. Key thing here is a strong set of distinctive participants. We need a few more, and we have been reaching out to those in this industry that can help us continue to grow and build on the mission of the Global Center for Health Innovation. The vision, to serve innovation, education, and commerce by aspiring to show what's the very best of what's available today. We're after the latest and greatest that is there. If you visit these suites, you will see they're extremely interesting and totally innovative. The spaces will be totally state-of-the-art, and the programs and virtual offerings that we'll be having, I'll speak on a little bit later, but that will breathe the life into the convention center, into the Global Center, we believe. The values here, collaborative, innovative, and leading edge. We have found already that not just the new people that come to visit, but the tenants that are already there, what they're learning through collaboration has been very, very interesting. And they actually look forward to sitting down together and sharing ideas as what's the latest and greatest in their field within the whole medical and healthcare industry. We held a tenant meeting last June. We'll have another one this December. We invited 92 people, and 85 of them showed up from every different tenant and prospective tenant that was there. Very, very good participation. We will also look for stakeholder involvement, which is within the convention, within the Global Center as well as outside. On the first floor, we'll run through the first floor and the remaining 3 floors, and we'll get to the occupancy. We'll show you some numbers. The first floor of the Global Center includes a welcome center, state-of-the-art patient home, and of course the junior ballroom is there as well. It has turned out that this year alone, the junior ballroom is one of the more occupied spaces between the Convention Center and the Convention Center, okay? If you've gone in there, the atrium, the feel of that building, and the junior ballroom being right off of that space has just been tremendous space. And meeting planners walk in, they get into the atrium, they say, we don't want to go any further, we'll book this right here. So it's been wonderfully designed space, and it's being highly utilized. State-of-the-art patient home or state-of-the-art home is a very unique project. This is for people to come in and see what is available on the market for people to get well and thrive and survive in their home. We know as our population ages, people are coming to the home to get well and to continue with a healthy life. There are many aspects of the home that are not designed for this. In fact, the home can become a detriment to somebody's improvement. These products, which should be commercially available, we're not getting too far into the future that, oh, that may look great, but I could never afford it. We're looking to add in these products that will help people thrive while they're at home recuperating or there for the rest of their lives. On the second floor, the theme is patients, people, and caregivers. And I list this to show you, and these additional floors, some of these names. We have international and nationally recognized companies that are here in the Global Center. Here's a few of them here. We're also working with BioEnterprise and Team Neo. The second floor will be the Northeast Ohio Showcase. We have about 20 spaces in there that people will be able to come in and set up a very small shop. They may not have the resources that some of the larger tenants have, but we'll concentrate on biotech, where they'll be able to come in, maybe they're a startup, but they just have some small resources and they want to jump in, get going, and the Global Center can give them the vehicle to do that. Obviously, Cleveland Clinic is there, Cardinal Health. On the third floor is some clinical spaces. Highland is a leading software company in healthcare IT, University Hospitals, Johnson Controls, Siemens, of course, and we're also utilizing a section of the third floor right now for the Hilton Hotel mock rooms. People say, what are mock hotel rooms doing in the Global Center? The thing is this: we're going to introduce prospective meeting planners to the Global Center very, very early on in the sales process. When people are going to buy a new hotel, they want to come in and see, what are the rooms going to look like? This is where we're going to bring them. And on that way up to that third floor, they're going to see the entire Global Center. We've already seen the collaboration and many synergies between the clients we bring in, and are able to demonstrate the synergy between the Convention Center and the Global Center for Health Innovation. This is obviously it'll be open and up and running by June of 16, so it's a short-term leasing. But we think it'll be very, very beneficial for the furtherance of the Global Center. Fourth floor, of course, is HIMSS, which is Healthcare IT, one of the leading projects, concerns. The future of healthcare is in healthcare IT, and they have been doing very, very well up there. In fact, I have a note here that they had 24 spaces for collaborators. They sort of resold and released some of the space within HIMSS. They've already sold 22 of them, which has been tremendously successful for them. Sectors not yet present. This is, and I'll show you a second, the occupancy. We still don't have present in the building pharmaceuticals, health insurance, devices and implants, biomechanical, and the innovative and early stage companies I mentioned that we look to invite into the Northeast Ohio Showcase. It will be of a national and international nature, and also an education center for the career path for professionals, and general consumer health. One of the missions and visions of the Global Center is education, and offering something as well to the population at large. It'll be a place to come and learn. This is a very important slide. We've been delighted, and we're happy to present this slide to you here today. This is our report card, if you will. How is the Global Center doing in terms of occupancy? Again, we have 4 floors. There are 38 tenant spaces. Rentable square feet is 122,248. Usable square feet, that's a retail thing. I won't get into that, but the key number there is 122,000. As of today, we have leased 96,820 under this total occupancy square footage as of October 14. And that means they opened, leased, or under construction, and Global Center self-produced spaces like the Wellness Center, the Welcome Center, is open, leased, or under construction. You see the occupancy there. We're coming in at 79.2%. Projected for the rest of this year, we're looking to lease at least 2 more spaces. We're in negotiations with these clients, and we hope to close this space by the end of this year, one of which includes Metro Health. So we all said they belong here, they know it. We're not counting them yet as occupied, but they are committed. We hope to close them by the end of the year, and bringing the total occupancy to 84.55%. Okay, our goal this year, as per the contract that SMG has with the county, was 80%. So we're getting there. The other thing I will point out, that these are vetted numbers. We only decided to put into this occupancy opened, leased, it's a signed document, or under construction. We have many prospects. Those are not counted here. We used to talk about what was committed. You may have a letter or a letter of intent or a phone call from somebody somewhere that says, yes, I want 3,000 square feet in that building. We're not counting that anymore. This is the report card. The lights are on or they're under construction. Okay? Case in point, reason I really want to drive this home, the building had its grand opening or ribbon cutting about a year ago. It was a year ago, October. It opened with 4 suites. How you open a building with 4 suites and only 49,000 square feet? Well, we had to do it. I think the Clinic Innovation Summit was going on. 4 suites opened the building, 1 immediately shut down, went back under construction. What we have concentrated on doing this year is finishing out the construction of the remaining spaces. Didn't think there was a critical mass enough to call this building open, because some of our clients actually were looking for where's the traffic, where are the people, where's this? We only had 3 spaces up and running. There are now 12, with 3 more coming, and should be done before the end of this year. Okay? Again, we're very, very delighted to report these numbers. 2014 and 15 initiatives, basically in a very condensed for you, our business plan to push the speedy construction. When we came on board, people had said to us, where's the momentum? Who have you booked? What have you done? We felt it best. Let's open this building with a critical mass in it. So we have pushed for speedy construction. The staff has pushed, helped in any way. We've grouped construction together to minimize impact on those open suites. Imagine those people that have opened. Next thing you know, you're under construction. Some days you can't hear yourself think as things are going on, okay? We closed near leased deals, or we moved on. We had a lot of commitments. People had letters. Yes, love to join you. We go to sit down with them. They really didn't have the interest. We moved on. Either you come on or move on, okay? Some of them didn't quite meet the mission, so we were quite okay with that, frankly, because we stayed with our eye on the ball on the mission. We continue to solicit and negotiate other potential deals. That is an ongoing process. And with the health system help, we've identified and gained access to additional world-class prospects. We continue to develop and initiate a program plan. As I mentioned earlier, one of the lifeblood, I think, of the building will be not just the tenants, but what are we doing to drive interest? What are we doing to keep it engaged? In June, we're working with the National Academy of Engineering. We are co-hosting a session on concussions. This is the National Academy of Engineering and all that cachet they're bringing to the table, okay? We're working with them. The concussions will be a very, very interesting subject for a lot of people today. Obviously, football has the headline. The Department of Defense is majorly involved in the impacts of concussions. You can imagine why. As are parents. 80% of concussions happen in the home. Johnny fell down the stairs. My wife and I got used to my youngest son, the sound of a melon hitting us concrete floors. He always fell down the stairs. We're ready to put him in a helmet by the time he was 1.5 years old. Those are the types of programming we're looking to do. We'll also open that up. So we are under investigation right now. We're looking to partner with people and create programming content. All the health systems, the tenants, have all offered speakers, physicians, and whoever else that's on their staff with a name in the environment and in the industry to come and help us present these. So we look forward to a very healthy program and educational content for professionals as well as the population at large. We also are re-engaging our advisory group. This group was sunset last September. I want to re-engage it, get it back on. We need the advice from the medical community. I don't know what the latest and greatest is in healthcare, unless I read it somewhere. I'm not in the front lines like the docs are, and all the physicians and nursing and all those caregivers. We need to reinstitute and reinvigorate this advisory group. We're about to announce that very, very soon. We are also finally planning what we're calling a high visibility public opening. December 6th, we're pulling a program together that will be an open house to the entire community. Come to the Global Center. We'll have all these spaces just about up that we talked about. We will have content. We will have programming. We will invite everyone in to come and see it. And and as well as Associated Healthcare and Industry in a national media plan. Our PR people, along with the tenants, we're not doing this alone, along with the tenants, we are going to drum up the national and international media that has to go with the Global Center. We have already found this to be true and happening. The booking of the RNC. We've just recently had David Lamond, Parisian paper, Le Monde, I believe it was just in, a reporter from Paris. What is the Global Center all about? There's a great opportunity for us to present what we're doing. Barbara tells me we've had visitors from many, many countries, just about every state, countries such as Ireland, Japan, China, South Korea. Where else? Germany, the Netherlands. Russia has been in a big time. The Chinese keep coming back time and time again. So we're starting to get that international presence. We think we can continue to drive the media toward public and positive stories, I'm sorry, about what we're doing here at the Global Center. That's where we are in a nutshell on the Global Center. However, I mentioned the synergies. And one of the things we do at the convention center now, as we put our other hat on for a second, is we compete against the very, very best that other cities have to offer. Every city has one of these. You don't have many, you have one. And we're putting our staff in the building and this community up against the very, very best that other cities have to offer. It's a blast. We have fun doing it. We've got momentum. We feel the presence and the positive attitude from the entire community. Everything we're doing, the help we've tried to ask for has been very, very forthcoming. Case in point, working with Toby Cosgrove, Dr. Cosgrove over at Cleveland Clinic. He recently, with us, hosted 2 receptions. He has many doctors at the clinic that sit on boards of associations and societies that have conventions. We sat down with them, reception, whole song and dance and PowerPoints and all that stuff. Bring your business here to Cleveland. And then they did a show of hands. How many have been in the convention center yet? There weren't many of them. So we're getting them down and getting them into the building. Jack, you brought a group to us. It's coming next year. Basically what we call a citywide. Had dinner with a group the other night talking about heating and air conditioning. Who would have known? Yes, they have a 5,000 person convention. We're looking to get back on, get Cleveland back on their schedule. They haven't been here for years and years because the convention center wasn't what it was. We've been out of the market. We're back in. And we're being very, very well received. And yes, land a few good base hits, home runs, and RNC, other medical conventions. I was at a corporate meeting, and our arena side, they're talking about the Super Bowls they do and the big concerts they've booked and all this fun stuff. Well, I got up and said, yeah, well, we booked colon and rectal surgeons for 2019. Whoa, I said, you don't know how exciting that is to us. So here's a citywide coming. We've already booked a major piece of business in the Hilton. Hilton's not even open. We don't even have a mock hotel room. We booked a good piece of business for July of all months, not a very heavy month for conventions, middle of July 2017. It's happening, it's working. Thank you for this hotel. Good Lord, thank you for this hotel. The announcement of this was a game changer. And for everyone that put so much into it, that with the savings and everything else, to allow us to get where we are and get this built is tremendous. And it'll continue to bring prosperity to us. We divide our sales force based on industry sectors. The Center for Exhibition and Industry Research, it's an acronym, CEIR, we're crazy with acronyms, has identified 14 business sectors, okay? We have allocated and deployed our sales staff along the sectors that already have a very strong presence in Northeast Ohio. Reason that makes sense is there's already a presence. Clients that look at this will see that there's built-in attendance. There's already the interest. There's already the know-how, and we've aligned ourselves this way. This represents all our bookings into the future, and you can see the industries that they've hit. Out of 376 groups that we have booked into all future years, 29% of them are in the medical field. That is an outstanding number. The next, you would understand, education, which is a very broad, it's education, some engineering, mechanical, things like this. Very strong here in this area. That's 16%. 12% financial, legal, real estate, professional services. That's what falls into this account, in this sector. And the last one is industrial heavy machinery. It's all manufacturing and industry. Okay, very, very important, and we continue to hit on these markets. So we've aligned ourselves there. The thing is for us to concentrate and penetrate these even more deeply with the sales staff and as we work in close concert with Positively Cleveland. Some numbers. At the beginning of this year, we were brand new. The blue will show you how many room nights were booked as of January 1st. Our projection for December 31st is in the yellow. And that is not an inappropriate symbol, 2016. That is the RNC, of course, and taking up all those room nights. But you can see that as we've gotten open and continue to drive business, these hotel room nights continue to grow and grow. We also have very strict and stringent goals and targets to reach in the contract we have with the county. You can see we're supposed to book the exhibit hall as much as possible. The exhibit hall booked versus the target. We have some room to go. Typically, though, booking exhibit hall-based business includes exhibits, trade shows, things like that. There's usually a longer lead time. We are not showing loose business here. This is business we consider definite or very strong tentative. So we've weeded out prospects and proposals might be out or inquiries, okay? So we're trying to paint a real good picture. We obviously have a way to go. On the other hand, meetings, we've been doing quite well, all right? These meetings include small meetings, 10, 15, 20 people, up to 350. So we're hitting these numbers early on, and we've got some numbers to continue to chase. We're also given a goal dealing with exhibit hall percentage utilization. That's simply occupied gross square feet in the space. It's a means of measurement, and the blue line is where we were at the beginning of the year. The gold line is where we are projecting through the rest of the year, and that top line is the target. So we still have targets to hit. These are not thresholds. These are targets. It's the high end we're after, not meeting a minimum. We're going for the top. Events booked against target. You can see that we're doing quite well, and may not look to you when we still see a lot of green there to go get. We continue to book vigorously. We started 2014 with about 80 events on the books. We're finishing with about 214. So we know there's a great deal of business, what we call in the year for the year. We will continue with that. 2015, we're starting our budget with 82 events on the books. The goal is 160, 165. We believe we will hit that and blow past it, frankly. Attendees, we need attendance, but we count differently. You would think everyone through the door, through a turnstile, we count. That's true in a public show, but not a convention. If 1,000 people are attending a convention for 3 days, we count it as 1,000 people, not 3,000. And that's an industry norm. So attendance is not always a true indicator how well you're doing. It's a good indicator, but not a true indicator. And you can see yet we continue to drive attendance, and some of these numbers that we have been booking are putting up some real good numbers. Economic impact, this is what it's all about. This slide right here. We started out the year, you can see the blue. And economic impact is measured by the number of hotel room nights that are booked. by the number of convention delegates. This is the story. So we're looking from 2014 to 19, $577 million in economic impact around the books. These are not numbers we made up. We use an industry formula that's been accepted, and it's what we use in our contract. It's the numbers we share and get are those from Positively Cleveland. We don't make our own up. We verify the numbers by after a group leaves. What was the pickup? How did we do? Did we increase? Did it drop off? And you can see we started the year at 194,000. Yes, you'll see a huge increase there in 2016. That is the RNC. So this is a tremendous number to us, and it's something we keep our eye on every day. We have booking policies in the building that reflect this goal, this outcome. You cannot book a small meeting years into the future with us. You have to be a certain size with a certain number of people and taking a certain number of hotel rooms. We don't give up precious, precious space. We try to keep it in big chunks and sell it off that way. And then as we get closer, what we call shorter term bookings, we fill our schedule with smaller type business. Another slide we're proud of as I finish up here is where we are in our employment. This is a breakdown of our people. These are those people that are on the payroll of SMG. We have a caterer, they're on a separate payroll. I don't have their numbers in this. We have a cleaning, housekeeping setup crew, which is Aramark. They're on their own payroll. Those numbers are not here. We have them pursuing the same goals we have by contract, and we work with them very closely to do that. So this is our reflection here. It's about 30 full-time employees. We still have a few more positions to fill, but I believe we have a good breakdown. And the goal on the minority side was 25%, excuse me, African American was 25%. I forget off the top of my head what the Hispanic side, but I think it was 3% at 5.7. We're doing okay. We just have 2 people that has self-claimed that category. Thank you very much. Enjoy your honey. Not enough to go around, but at least in the county chambers, maybe that.
Cost for next year.
On the budget. Okay.
Good for the ethics
Okay.
report. Good with this honey on our ethics report.
Jeff asked me.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. This year, our year-to-date our year-end projections, what we're looking at, we're looking to beat budget by a couple of $100,000. We had budgeted a 4.3 million operating deficit. We'll probably come in around 4.12, somewhere in there. Next year's budget that we will present to the CCC, FDC, that operating deficit will be below 4 million, roughly 3.9, and a little change. Contrast that with.
Well,
Yep.
So thank you, Mark. So let me, I wanted to end with that note. I want to put this into perspective. So you may recall that at the time that we were concluding our relationship with MMPI, we were paying MMPI rent based on the original deal, okay? That meant that we paid rent in the amount of $6 million a year, fixed rent, and then we paid a supplemental rent, which you'll recall varied, but roughly in the vicinity of $4 million to $5 million. It went from the high nines, around 10 million, to around 11 million, and it varied year to year. So essentially, under the old deal, what happened, the original development agreement that we've always worked to get out of, we were paying MMPI $10 or $11 million a year. They kept the revenue. They dealt with expenses and capital repair, but basically our out-of-pocket on an annual basis was $10 or $11 million, right? So now the deal is, so take next year, because we're getting to these full years, the deficit we will have at the end of the year, what we have to pay is $3.9 million versus over $10 million. So the net savings to the county over the prior deal, remember when I came before you and said that we would save $3 to $5 million a year? Well, for next year, it'll be $6.1 million. Now, and for this year, it's around $6 million, a little under $6 million. Now, one of the other things that will occur as a result of this is MMPI, while they had some capital repair responsibility, their original deal under the original development agreement for these early years only had them putting in $250,000 a year. We will be saving $6.1 million. We will take a portion of that and we will fund a much more robust capital repair fund because we want to be able to do this in the future. But that's out of dramatic savings that we will have. So we're actually ahead of the budget. And we gave you those savings conservatively. We are ahead of where we thought we would be with the picture getting brighter. And by the way, with the revenues that we'll generate, next year in 2016, it will be much brighter. Mm-hmm. So with that concludes the portion of the presentation on the Global Center and the Convention Center, unless you have questions.
Mr. Schron has a question.
Yeah, Mark, you had a slide up there that said sectors not present, and you identified a number of categories on there. Have we identified target companies that we're going after to fill those, and what have we done to seek them to come here? I assume we're doing an outreach as opposed to waiting for them to show up at our door.
That's right, that's right. We are, and it needs to be intensified. We need to get out there and get the right company, to get the right companies in here. So we need an outreach program. We need to identify the right one that would be, and one of the challenges we're finding, each of the tenants have a different set of criteria as to why they're in the Global Center. Some, it's strictly about, I want leads, I want business. Others, it's a gateway and a sales initiation point. So we're looking for those companies that will fulfill and help us with the mission. And we do need a strong identification to who those groups are. That's where I hope to also work with the advisory committee because of some of their inroads with some of these companies.
Are you working with the County Economic Development Department to help coordinate that? I mean, through our funding and with the land bank or land to look at to see, do we have land available to attract these companies to come here to be located here with their headquarters or operations?
We have looked into that, yes. It's one thing to have them as a tenant. The next step is to try to get them to actually relocate here. We have not jumped out of sort of our jurisdiction to do that. But we have, if I may, with Dave or Barbara, we did reach out and see what we could do. And we at least grab the information that we would need in order to pass it along. So we do need to work more closely.
I realize you're the operations side, but the jurisdiction is the county. Mm-hmm. And so the county is eager not only to fill the building, but to bring those jobs here of those target sectors, it seems to me.
Yes, we need to coordinate that. We'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Okay, we have, you have about a half an hour. You have other questions?
Yeah,
Mr. Greenspan?
I do, if I may. So I understand that the contract was renegotiated within this budget cycle that we're in right now. And if our expenditures, our outflows were equal to $10 million, which is what we were paying MMPI, and now it's reduced to say $4 million, so there's a $6 million budget savings there. But if I remember correctly, there was a buyout that we had incurred. What in the net this year, with everything we had to incur to get out of the MMPI contract and the deficit in the convention center, where are we going to ultimately wind up?
Thank you. So to take you back, the buyout that you're referring to was a one-time $3 million payment. I will also tell you, though, that at the time we closed out with MMPI, there were contingent funds for items of work, possible scope, possible exposure, and there were contingent funds that were available that would have been, by the way, in MMPI's budget. At this point in time, we actually have an excess of contingent funds available over the buyout funds. So the bottom line is that balances out. So the 3 million does not reflect a net incremental increase over the contingent funds that were available. So at the end of this year, it will roughly be, and I can get you the exact numbers, but it'll roughly be the difference between the rent that would have been due this year, which is in the 9-something range, and the $4.3 million of expenditure this year, plus there is some additional expense for the CCC FDC, which is some consulting dollars. We had hoped there'd actually be a little more expense. We haven't gotten to the little more expense yet, but there's a few $100,000 there. So I could give you the exact number, but it's roughly we're roughly $5 million plus ahead of where we would have been with MMPI. I can get you the exact calculation of that. I didn't bring it with me today.
It's got the gas bill and uncollected receivables also.
So,
Well, why don't you mention that?
Okay. One of the things we were asked to do when we first got in is to review expenses and also take a look at revenues. We found that almost $750,000 had not even been invoiced, going back to just after the senior games. We also went through some of the expenses and found some to be completely out of whack, one of which was the gas bill. So we beat up the gas company. They came down, checked their meters, adjusted their meters, and we got not a credit, but money back to the county in the tune of $396,000. So
Excuse me one second. There are various examples of ways that we have gone back through the MMPI deal. I mean, I'll give you an example. The very energy deduction I'm talking to you about, that could have been an MMPI opportunity. They could have kept that money. They didn't go after it. We did. We found that. So we've been finding pockets of money and savings now that we have, because keep in mind, that was all controlled under MMPI's umbrella. It was closed book. Now that it's open book, we've been able to go back and harvest many of these opportunities. But I can get you I'll endeavor to get you a more complete accounting of that, which I'll submit to the county.
okay, because what I'm trying to understand, so the 9 months or the $9 million in rent, we paid that anyhow? Plus the 3 million buyout is 12. Plus
No, we didn't.
No?
No, I'm sorry, we didn't pay any. No, as soon as MMPI was gone,
that was the savings?
oh yeah, that's all
Okay.
savings.
All right, then
They
that
get
goes
none
the
of
other
that.
way. Okay. Yeah,
It's all
I'll
savings.
look forward to that analysis.
And we need to,
Yeah, we need to move on, I know.
yeah, we need to have you done about 4:30, because we have an executive session.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you very much.
thank you.
thank you very much.
So at this point in time, I'm going to ask Turner to come forward, Marty and Orlando. So now we've had some, at various points in the last few meetings, we've had conversations about the inclusion program. We also had a meeting with Councilman Jones and others to talk through some of these issues. But what I had promised at the last session is that we would have Turner come forward and actually make a presentation of exactly what they are doing. You all know about our goals on the project. As you know, we have a set of goals which are for both inclusion goals for worksite and enterprise goals for businesses. We obtain these goals through not only our own county goals, but through a voluntary program imposed by Turner. They also incorporate the city's goals through a voluntary mechanism. So at this point in time, I'm going to let Marty and Orlando describe exactly what is happening on the project, what the programs have been, and what success has been achieved.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Marty Bergwinkle. I'm project executive for the Turner Ozane VA Design Build team. We've been asked to come here and give you an update of our inclusion plan, which will outline what the plan is, what the goals are, and how we're doing on achieving those goals. Orlando Taylor is our staff person who handles that day to day and has a great handle on it and is doing an outstanding job for us. And I'm going to let him give you the update.
All right, so starting off with the plan, we have outreach meetings. Along with MBS, the Sanchez Group, and Dave Johnson, we go out into the community We've had events such as small business enterprise meetings where we've actually had Cuyahoga County come out, Nancy Mercado, Lorena Lockett come out and actually talk to contractors on how to be certified with Cuyahoga County, because that's a big part of what this project is. We did that focusing on west side in the Hispanic community and also on the east side, trying to get both sides of the county, because that seems to be an issue sometimes. We're just trying to address that. We've had meetings, let's see, the Hispanic pastor breakfast meeting at City Hall, where we came in, met with the pastors, asked what their needs were, made them aware of what this project is, how to get involved in the project, passed out phone numbers, said call us if you have any questions. We've had an outreach meeting just recently for the next wave of bid packages that are going out at the Cleveland Convention Center. Just most recently, we met at City of Cleveland for the town hall meeting, because they had all of their staff there talking about being certified with the City of Cleveland as far as MBE, FBE. So we were able to reach out to those contractors. And then just last week, Mega 87.7 had a Hispanic job fair. So that's working on that workforce component, trying to get people, here's how you get into the union trades, because this is a union project. So just reaching out to people, trying to show them the path to get in the workforce to get on this project or any other project, actually. The next part of the inclusion plan would be subcontracting. So these are actual targets. So our goal of SBE for 30%, right now we're at 29.6 for $37 million. The FBE, the goal is 7%. Right now we're tracking at 13.49%. That's at $17 million. MBE, goal of 15%. Right now we're tracking at 15.82%. That's $19.9 million. For the workforce component, so boots on the ground, as we like to say, for Cuyahoga County residents, goal of 40%. Right now, we're tracking at 43%, and that represents about 34,000 hours. City of Cleveland residents, goal of 20%. Actual to date, 18%. That's 14,000 hours. Low-income residents, and we're using the definition by City of Cleveland, so it's very stringent, and we're finding that the paperwork is sometimes an emotional issue, but we're working through that. We actually met with the City of Cleveland yesterday, just trying to explain to them how construction is changing, and not all work is done at the site, because there's prefab and there's some other ways that construction is being done, so we're trying to count everybody. But right now, the goal of 4%, we're at 1% for about 260 hours, but we're absolutely hoping to improve on that. In fact, I know we will. Minority workforce, goal of 20%. Actual to date, we're right at 20% for 15,000 hours. Female workforce, a goal of 6%. Actual to date is 4% for 3,000 hours. Now, there's the next portion, the community outreach plan. So for contractor assistance, contractors will assist anyone that needs help getting their OSHA 10, wage bonds, the primes that have the contract, as they need to bring on workforce, subcontractors, SBE, MBEs, if they need assistance in getting bonds, they will help them with that. Also for apprenticeships, we're adhering to our union ratios. Another component was having 30 new, definition of new apprenticeships, actual to date 7. Now we have more apprentice because you can go about 4 years as being an apprentice, but we're really trying to qualify it as a new apprentice, someone that's new to construction. So right now we're at 7, and we will hit 30 by the time we're done. For CMSD, Cleveland Metropolitan School District, this summer we already had 2 high school interns, and then today, the first day, Amir and Evelyn, wave. This is their first day, so I said, come on, let's go. They just got done with HR. They are going to do their stint as an intern. We're also going to award 2 $5,000 college scholarships to high school interns at some point during this project. And then there's going to be a middle school outreach program. This is in partnership with CEA. They are meeting with the Cleveland schools this week because we're going to roll it out to several schools going across their portfolio. So we'll start that actually towards the end of the year based on whatever is done based on the meeting this week. And then for Tri-C, there are 30 pre-apprenticeship class scholarships that we're going to provide. And then we're also looking at a Tri-C college co-op. So someone that's at Tri-C looking to be in construction, we're going to bring them on and let them get an understanding of what construction is like. It's Other, ACE Mentoring, Turner, the joint venture of Turner, Ozane, and VA. Turner is actually the lead at James Rhodes, and then Ozane is the lead at Max Hayes. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Jones and then Mr. Hairston.
Thank you. Orlando, take a moment and go back to the low-income resident goal. It's clear we've reached all of our goals and very close to them everywhere, but this one that's a little short.
Yes.
Take a moment and just kind of help us to understand what the challenges are in actually meeting this goal.
Okay, so the low income goal, there's a form that you have to fill out, and it will ask, for example, verify that you are a Cleveland resident. And some people, it is difficult for them to say, here's my utility bill because because their name's not on it. Here is where my residence is because they were staying with a family member. So that definition to be defined as low income, if you said, well, show me how much money you have, that's easy. But asking them to do these other things, also there's a question about, well, what is your IRS tax filing for the last few, right? And so it's sometimes difficult, what we've been hearing, for people to fill that out, but we're still working through it.
Okay. The work that the low-income residents perform, can I assume they're not skilled, or are they skilled?
Well,
What
because this
happens
is-
to them?
Because this is a union project, you still have to be skilled. So if this was, for example, not a union project, you could actually just get someone that qualifies, bring them on site and teach them to do something. But because you have to go through the trades the proper way, there are no ways around it, there's that added step. So I actually had a call with one of the union halls today. He called me up and said, hey, I'm trying to get this iron worker on. I have a company interested in him, but there's some issues. That's the one I just talked about, him proving that he's a Cleveland resident, because he doesn't have a utility bill in his name. He doesn't have some of those other things because he stayed with relatives. So we're working through that, though.
Okay. But they are card-carrying union members?
Oh,
the
absolutely.
Low-income,
Yes.
okay. And I'll,
All right, Mr. Hairston?
Actually, Mr. Jones went directly into my question regarding the low-income residents, and if you would, because I missed the meeting, I had another meeting out in the district before when you all met with Councilman Jones and Ms. Councilwoman Conwell. So you have one of the outreach meetings, right? Mm-hmm. So, and folks come out, they get information. Walk me through. So we have the low-income residents, for example. Walk me through that whole process from when you started, when you began, and when you end. When they go through, they fill out the paperwork there.
No.
Okay, so how does that work?
For example, if you're a contractor, so you're trying to identify someone that would qualify as low income. So you would need to identify that person and then ask them, here's this paperwork. I need you, or would like for you to fill this out so that we can get your qualification as a low income resident as you are on our certified payroll. So that's there's really no clean process because not everyone has to fill it out.
Okay.
It is a
And that was
question.
that's what I wanted to know, whether it was a clean process, everyone had to fill this out, and really how does this go? My second question is, during the meetings when you meet with individuals who come in, maybe a MBFB, and you realize that the company may not have all the certification they need to work on the project, but you see that they may have some true potential and can be a true asset to the hotel project. Do you all take it upon yourselves to say, you know what, let us reach back out to these individuals to see where they are, see if they gotten their things together? Although the first thought would say, well, if they really want this, we shouldn't have to go back and follow them. But I think at some time it is good that we go back out and really try to reach back out to individuals who may have attended the meeting, really felt that they would not be truly welcome into the project, and may walk away and say, well, they won't hire me anyway if I get this information.
That is a great question. The gentleman to my right, Mr. Dave Johnson, make sure that we do that.
Okay.
If you look at the meetings, they're spread throughout the year. It wasn't, well, okay, a checkbox, and we had all our meetings, and we got it all done in February, and we're done. Part of that is actually going out to the community and saying, here is how you actually qualify to be an SB. Here is how you qualify to be an MB, an FB. And we actually bring the people that signed the document to the meeting. So we're saying, we understand that not everyone has a computer, understands where to find it. We will send you the link. We actually pass out the paperwork saying, here's the actual paperwork. You can either fill it out here, you can use this hyperlink. MBS allows people to come into their office and actually fill it out, and we'll help them. So it's very inclusive. And we're not saying, Mr. Jones, you were at the one meeting, you saw me stay when you left. I was still there talking to people, just saying, any questions you have, just ask. Call me, send an email. We're trying to help you through this process.
I'm happy to hear that, and I know if Purnell is there, then we're in good hands and make sure that happens. So, my last question on page 1, SBE goal of 30%, actual date 29.60, and maybe you don't have that. Maybe you don't have that information today, but can you forward to me or maybe the other council members breakdown on SBE startups versus existing?
Okay.
Thank you.
Here, Marty wants to add something.
First, let me go back to your second question. Teaming up interested small businesses, minority business, and female businesses. It doesn't end at those outreach meetings. We were very successful on the convention center job, and we're doing it here. We meet with our prime contractors roughly quarterly.
Yes.
And bring them in and identify for them, how are you doing on your plan, and encourage them to add people to their plan. And we bring some of the contractors we meet or who reach out to us outside of those outreach meetings. And we were very successful on the convention center, and we expect that process to work here during the project, to have these contractors add smaller contractors for a little piece of work here and there. And when we did that in the convention center, we were able to end up with about 170 small and minority businesses. And we're doing that same process here and expect to continue to do that outreach beyond those public.
And those are the things that we'd like to see, at least myself, that we're taking that extra step to go out and reach these individuals and really get them engaged in this project. So thank you so much.
All right, and Mr. Miller?
Madam Chair, thank you. Could you explain the item where it says, adhere to union ratios? Can you tell me what the union ratios are and how that plays into this?
Yes. Union ratios mean for a journeyman, you're allowed a certain number of apprentices. So we just want to make sure that we maximize that and that they just don't bring all journeymen. They're bringing in new blood, trying to grow their ranks, trying to grow trades and skills among new people.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Jones?
And to Councilman Miller's question, let me go back and just give a little context. When the project got to the project labor agreement portion, Turner Construction has done an incredible job in bringing apprenticeships to projects. They have a project in Sacramento King Facilities Project, where they've done excellent work and a fully fleshed out, detailed approach to bringing apprentices into a project. The goal was to fight for those on this particular project. And we should know that the team was not as successful as we would have liked in our union negotiations for having those detailed apprenticeship goals. We have a good faith effort, as is stated in our PLA as it stands now. So with that, we had a meeting that Anthony mentioned. I asked to meet with Turner and Jeff Applebaum and those connected to find out how Turner would still be able to effectively reach their apprenticeship goals in light of the PLA. And as a result, we talked about the union ratios that they have, and I believe they're created at the state level, the union apprenticeship goals, ratio goals.
I know they're part of each collective bargaining
Each
agreement.
collective bargaining unit has its own, there's different jurisdictions.
So in light of the situation as it's set with the PLA, we have focused on making sure that we do have those union ratios, and our staff they have those numbers, and we want to monitor that we're reaching those numbers and over time qualify them, see what they say, what they mean, how they really impact the community. But it's good to bring those strong young individuals on the apprenticeship side into the ranks alongside our journeymen.
Excuse me. One more thing, just to add to what the councilman just said. There's also a provision when we we worked very hard to try to push as far as we could on that apprenticeship program in the agreement. There's also a provision there that says that at such time as the county finalizes its community benefits agreement, there's also a good faith effort there for the unions to honor and work with us on that. So at that time, and I'm not sure what that timing is, there's also that commitment in the PLA to be further explored.
And hopefully, I don't know if there's someone in the administration that can speak to the disparity study, but it's my belief that we should be finished before this year is out for our disparity study, so we can again go back and strengthen our goals.
Hi, Ken Sarah from Executive's office. We expect next week to get a draft from the disparity study consultant, the first draft. And from there, we will do our best to try and get that complete as soon as possible.
Excellent.
If there's any other, I have one closing comment I'm going to make if there's no other questions on the inclusion plan from Turner. Just to look ahead, and I'll let you go on the rest of your meeting, but just to look ahead, one thing I do want you all to look forward to, as soon as I can organize it, I'm going to come back then and do an update on the hotel. But one thing that we want to take advantage of, you don't get to see the site as often as you used to from your old abode, but it is moving extraordinarily fast. So the podium, all the steel is up on the podium portion of the project, so that is up even with the height of the Global Center.
Are you taking pictures out your window every day?
Pardon?
Are you taking pictures out of your window every day?
We have a lot of pictures being taken, yes. In fact, we have a stop action thing so you can see it being built. On the right-hand side, which is the tower, and if you looked at that, you can now see very tall, you can see both the elevator structures up, and it is now being, the concrete, that's a concrete building, that is going up now a floor a week. So for the next 30 or so weeks, because that's 32 stories, you're going to see a floor a week. So one thing I want to be able to do, and I can do this in advance of the next time I address council, and we'll figure out when I can come back and do it, but before the weather gets any worse, for those of you who want to do it, we'll arm you with boots, but we can actually take you over. It's really fascinating to look at the site. It's a little messy, but if you want to do it, we can, before the weather changes, make available a site tour, because it's a fascinating thing to get on that site and actually see what's happening. So if that's something you're interested in, we can arrange that in the very near future. And before I come back, and at the next meeting that I come to, I'll just give you my normal update with all the nice PowerPoint pictures. The other thing I will also tell you is we had the RNC in last week, and together with Hilton, we worked with Hilton and the RNC to negotiate our deal with Hilton to be the headquarters hotel for the RNC, which is where their candidate will stay. The delegation probably from the candidate state, who is the person who will run the RNC, will be there, and staff will be there. So it's pretty interesting to watch this all unfold. So if there's no questions, that's our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? All right, we have, I don't know how I gotta figure out how we're gonna do this. We're supposed to go into executive session, but I wanna take the picture first. So can I do the announcement for the executive session, then take the picture, then we'll go in for the executive session? Okay, all right. All meetings of the Cuyahoga County Council are open to the public under the Ohio Open Meetings Law. Under that law, council may go into executive session during a meeting for specifically authorized purposes. During executive session, council confers outside the hearing of the public. Council may not make any decisions about any matter in executive session. All decisions are made in public. This afternoon, County Council Committee of the Whole will go into executive session to discuss a collective bargaining agreement and also pending litigation. During this time, our live stream will be down, and we'll ask all those, that's for the old building, that's right. We will go into our council committee room. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the purpose? I moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Mr. Gallagher. Call the roll, please.
Moving to executive session, Mr. Miller? Yes. Mr. Brady? Yes. Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Schrein?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Hairston?
Yes.
Ms. Simon? Yes. Mr. Greenspan? And Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, and we're gonna take a picture before we go into executive session.